Welcome, friends, to the series of learning Google Cloud databases. So, in this particular video, we will learn how we can promote the read replicas to a standalone complete database. In the last lecture, we saw how we can create the read replica of a MySQL database in Cloud SQL. We created the data, we created the table in the primary database, and we saw how we can replicate that data automatically in the replica database. Also, we saw how we have enabled the high availability on primary, or we can do the same on read replica. If you have missed those videos, we are recommending you to watch those videos where we have discussed about high availability and as well as read replica of Cloud SQL database. Now, in this particular video, we will learn how we can promote the read replica to a complete standalone database. So, this is our Google Cloud console, and we are right now in Cloud SQL dashboard. We are having one primary instance, and you can see we don't have any public IP address, and we are having the private IP address only. And this primary database is actually enabled for high availability, so it is actually hosted in two zones. The primary zone is US Central 1C. So this particular database is having one read replica, and this is not enabled for high availability. And you can see it is on US East 1C. It's in Central and it's in East. Okay, so to complete different region altogether, and we are going to replicate some data. We will create some data on the primary database, and we will actually see how this replica will work. And then we will promote this read replica to a standalone database in this video. So stay tuned. So first and foremost thing, what we are going to do, we are actually go to VM instances, and we will create a VM instance very quickly. And definitely, why we are creating this VM instance? Because we need the private connections, as we don't have any public IP in our Cloud SQL databases. So we need the private connection, and we want to make sure that this particular VM instance will have all these cloud APIs. And maybe we will see in the networking, we will make sure that it is in the default network, because all our SQL database were created in default VPC. And that's the only VPC we will have in our project right now. And we are going to say in the management console, we are just going to keep one automation script, that is apt get install -y default MySQL client. And that's the client we need to interact with the MySQL server. So let's wait to create the instance, and we will connect to this instance very soon. So just wait until it is being created. All right, so our instance is created. So let us go ahead and activate our Cloud Shell. And we are going to connect to this Cloud Shell to connect to this VM instance. Maybe we can use another window for that. And let's wait for the console to come. Now, let's see what are the VM instances we do have. The cloud instances list, and we are having this one, the cloud compute SSH and the instance, and the zone is US Central 1A. All right. We have connected to the instance. Now let's go to the root and let's clear the screen. Now let us see whether MySQL database has been MySQL client is installed. And right now we are trying to connect to our host. Now let's go to this Cloud SQL dashboard and we're going to grab the internal IP address of the primary database. So this is our IP address and we specify the user ID and password and we are done. Now let's see whether we are having any databases. So we don't have any database. All the normal databases that you have, all the default databases we do have in the SQL, MySQL server. And now we're going to create one database. So the create database sample, and then we are going to connect to the sample database. All right, so our sample database is connected. Now let us create one table, say for example, the create table employee, and we will say employee name, which is a character of 50, and also it is having the ID, which is an integer. All right, so we have created the table and we're going to insert some data into employee table. So maybe we can say John and ID is 123 and maybe one more 345 and Harry. All right, so we are having the data right now in employee table. So that's excellent. So we have created one table called employee under the database sample, and we have inserted some values in it. Now let's do one thing. Let's connect to these read replica right now. So the read replica, definitely the IP address is different. So this is the IP address. So instead of 3, it's instead of 2, it's 3. Now, right now I have connected to read replica. So if you scroll it a little bit up, you can see we have connected to the primary database, which was .2, and right now it's 29.3, which is the read replica. Now, we will see whether we can connect to the sample database. Yes, we do have the sample database. Now, if we check select asterisk from employee, we can see definitely we're having these data. So immediately data got replicated from US Central 1C region to US East 1C. So you can see we are having the database into different region, but within a minute or so, the data got replicated instantly. All right, so if we try to delete the data, definitely we can't. So maybe we can say delete from employee, and we see that the server is running with super read only mode. So we can't delete the data from this read replica. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to exit from this client and we are going to promote this read replica to a standalone database. So what we need to do, you have to click this hamburger menu and you have to click this promote option, or you can go inside this MyDB replica and you have this promote replica button over there. So either is fine. I'm just going to say my read replica in this box and I'm just going to save it as promote. So it started to promoting MyDB replica over here. So let me go to these all instances. You can see the street structure is gone. Now MyDB replica is not going to be read replica of MyDB database instance. Now, it will take some time to complete this promotion. So we'll be back once this promotion will be successful. All right, we see our database has been promoted successfully. The Read Replica database is promoted successfully. So this particular database instance is not a Read Replica of this particular instance anymore. Okay, so you can see a green tick over there. So let's go inside this instance and we will see what exactly is being showing under these operations. So you can see that the promote replica is finished. So it took some time and then it got finished. And you can see it's pretty much similar like a standalone database. And actually it is, okay? All right, so now let's connect to this MyDB instance. So let's go to this Cloud Shell and let us connect to this MySQL MyDB instance that is 128.2. You can see it's 128.2, which is the MyDB instance. And let's provide the password over here and let's connect to this sample database. Now, if we check the employee table, we can see John and Harry are there. And now what we are going to do, we are going to insert one row for Tom, and maybe we can say his ID is 4456. All right, so this data is inserted and we can see Tom, Harry, and John, three of them are in employee table. Now let's exit from this DB instance, and instead of 128.2, we are going to connect 129.3. 129.3 is the MyDB replica. Now, this MyDB replica is no more the replica of MyDB. So you are not expecting to the changes that we made on MyDB got replicated to MyDB replica, and that is what we are going to verify through the activity. All right, so now again, we can connect to the sample database because this sample database was created or replicated before we did the promotion. Okay, so now if we check the employee table, definitely we can see John and Harry, but the new data that was inserted in the MyDB instance was not replicated into MyDB replica instance. All right. And the last time, if you remember that we tried to delete the data from this employee table from MyDB replica, it did not work. But right now, we are able to successfully delete all the data from employee table. We can see the table is completely empty. So when we promoted this MyDB replica instance to a standalone database, it was made a complete standalone database altogether. So it can do whatever a normal standalone database can do. All right. So it has no connections with MyDB right now. So it's a separate database. So this is how we do promotion. So maybe, for example, we can replicate the data, or maybe we can do the database refresh activity from production to QA. What we can do, we can create a read replica of the production database, and then this read replica can be promoted. So this is how we can copy the data from one database to the other database. So that's all for today. We have learned how we can promote the read replica to a standalone complete single database. So in the upcoming lecture, we will play around more on read replicas. We will create multiple read replicas and we will see how the read replicas perform in the cascade mode. Thank you. See you in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye.